Welcome back to Stacks. This is the weekly wrap. I guess by the time you're listening to this might be more of, this is looking forward to the week instead of wrapping up the week. You might be listening to this on Monday. But regardless, we're going to talk about the biggest events happening in crypto, how they affect your coins. I'm Luke. This is my co-host, Trader Mayne. Mayne, how we doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good. A beautiful day here in Vancouver. No better way to spend it than inside recording a podcast.
How was last weekend? You were at the fights in Dallas? Good fights?
Dude, Dallas was super, super fun. The UFC event itself was awesome. I've never been, so highly recommend. It's one of those, sports that live, it's just a different feeling. It's a different beast. And super cool to be part of the Campai Panda event. What Bags is doing with that project, I think, is awesome. We obviously have Pandemonium coming up this weekend. So if you want to come party with Luke and I, we'll be at Pandemonium in Vegas. I think you can get a VIP ticket for like $60. So I'm not a huge NFT guy, but this is one of the few NFTs I own where I've actually gotten some use out of it, which is pretty cool because most of the NFTs I buy are worthless. So pretty cool.
It looks like you just bought a car too, man. New Audi? What model is that?
It's a brand new RS5. Only on crypto Twitter can you post like $130,000 car and get called poor. But it is what it is. I kind of knew what I was getting into when I posted that online. I knew people were going to be like, that's not a Lamborghini. Like, that's not a Ferrari. People don't realize I live in Canada. It snows and rains 9 months out of the year here. A Lamborghini doesn't make sense as my only car. This is something I could drive year round. And here I am, so self-conscious that I'm now explaining myself on a podcast, but I love it. Super fun car. And it's good to take profits, man. That's what you could do with them. You could buy stuff in the real world.
Yeah, it's funny. I would never want to have a Lambo. I would never want to have a car that expensive. I had a Tesla two or 3 years ago, and I didn't even like having a car that expensive. Sometimes I was like, what the fuck am I doing with this nice of a car?
Cars are not an investment. They're a depreciating asset. And it's a very much a super luxury item. I don't think people realize like having a supercar is such a luxury, unnecessary item. I barely drive. I live downtown.
Yep.
I think I put 8,000 kilometers. That's like, I don't know, 5,000 miles on my car in the last 2 years. So for me to go and spend 300-400 grand on a Lamborghini just to drive it like once a week just didn't really make sense. So I'm with you. I love cars. This thing goes fast. It's fully brand new warranty. If anything goes wrong, I just bring it in, drop off the keys. But when Lambo, I guess, remains, maybe next bull run.
Yeah, we'll see. Me and you both. What did happen this week? Biggest movers that I saw this past week, one of the themes that stood out was anything related to the Ethereum ecosystem. Obviously, because the merge is the most important catalyst. But the other side of that is right now there's no new money coming in. So you have, the market can only focus on one thing at a time. And if there's a narrative as simple and as important as the merge, then anything related to Ethereum is going to do well. Things like staking coins, Lido, you had scaling coins, Matic, Optimism was what I was trading. Even some Uniswap and some old DeFi coins were doing well. Is there anything you were trading? Anything you were watching last week?
Primarily still watching, the majors personally. I completely agree with you. I think the next big move is going to be Ethereum based. I think it's going to be led by Ethereum itself, and then everything in that ecosystem that is a proxy to, attached to Ethereum, I think are going to be the things that you want to focus on. I do think that something that we're going to see, and we'll talk about this later with the Arthur article as well, is Ethereum continue to gain dominance over Bitcoin. And personally, outside of Ethereum, the only other thing that I've kind of been focusing on is actually BNB. A really interesting chart to look at is BNB versus BTC and BNB versus Ethereum. It's one of the very few coins that has outperformed both for a significant period of time. I mean, you're putting your money behind, obviously, Binance and CZ, who we don't know could be the richest dude in the planet. We don't actually know how much he's worth, but we know it's a lot. So on paper, maybe not, but off paper, the dude is flush. So that's another coin that I really like to trade, just in terms of awesome liquidity, trades very cleanly, but also as a coin that I'm stacking long term because I definitely believe in CZ, Binance, and that ecosystem that he's going to make it successful.
Yeah, I saw Tree of Alpha or GCR, one of those big traders on Twitter shared the BNB chart, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. If you go back 4 years, BNB versus Bitcoin has just gone straight up. It's been outperforming for 4 years straight. And there's not that many
Yeah,
alts ever that have been able to do that and are still doing it. Like
yeah.
it just broke a new all-time high, and it feels like no one's talking about that, about BNB.
Exactly. That's why I like it so much. Most altcoins might have one market cycle in them where they outperform Bitcoin for a period of time. And then usually it's like every, wannabe coin, the EOSs, the ETCs, all that, where the chart just looks like pain and suffering for, the rest of eternity. 4 years in crypto, very long time to be outperforming Bitcoin. Absolutely a coin you should have on your radar, short term and long term, in my opinion.
What else happened news-wise? You mentioned the Arthur article. Let's just start there. What's this article about? Arthur Hayes, he's been known to drop some blogs, shares thoughts on the market. It seems like that's all he's doing. Now that he's at home arrest in Miami, he got the better of the case. He's not in prison from the BitMEX situation. Now he just writes articles. I love them. They're great articles, but I didn't read this one. What's he talking about?
So Arthur's an enigmatic character in the crypto space. Love him or hate him. At the end of the day, in my opinion, he was a huge proponent of moving the space forward. So you might not, he's maybe infamous more than he is famous. Because while he was one of the first people to introduce derivatives trading to a large part of the population, he was also directly trading against people on his platform. And that's no fun because I'm sure you could do a search on your Gmail and see a lot of BitMEX liquidation
Oh yeah.
emails in there, just like I can. And I'm sure many of you watching can as well. But I love Arthur's articles. The guy is a very good writer. He's extremely articulate, very intelligent, and he knows what he's talking about. People are clowning on him because he released the article that effectively said the bottom's in and he is a mega bull on Ethereum. And then Ethereum dropped like 3%. Everyone's like, oh, Arthur is he's a counter trade. Macro, Arthur's been pretty accurate. When we are at 40 or 50K, he's like, we're going to 20. And then when we got to 20, he said, probably good chance we bottom around here. So usually on the high time frame, the dude's pretty accurate. And this article basically centered around him being mega bullish on Ethereum. He thinks the bottom is in for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. He thinks worst case scenario, maybe we have another dump on Ethereum to like 1,000, but he thinks the low is in. What was the low there? Was it set? Did you guys low 700? Was it 900? I think it's 900.
Maybe 800, maybe somewhere in there. Who
Yes,
knows?
somewhere down there. So he thinks that low is in. Maybe we come down and test that area again. But he's bullish. He thinks that buying calls for future dated calls going out into the spring, as well as just buying spot Ethereum here and down is the play. He does believe that a conservative, this was his quote, a conservative value of ETH post merger is 5,000 per, and that's a 5x from the bottom or even more. And he thinks the Fed is going to pivot in the midterms, go back to risk on, turn that money printer back on. Currently quarterlies are in backwardization, so generally that's a good sign if you're looking to long futures. If the quarterlies are in backwardization and you are bullish, that means effectively the future, kind of quoted price is behind the current spot price. So you might actually be able to get extra upside by longing future dated contracts as opposed to the current contracts or spot. And I guess the idea with the merger is that he thinks ETH is going to outperform Bitcoin because it's going to become effectively more scarce. That's up to debate. I'm not super well versed on obviously what the ETH merger is going to do and will it be enough. I know this is something that I think there's a lot of FUD around. People think it's not going to happen. People think it's going to fail. Personally, I'm just looking at the chart and last three bull runs, buying Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin, in those bull runs. So if that's Arthur's thesis, I don't necessarily disagree with it.
5,000 per ETH. That'd be, even from right now, that's almost still a 3x. ETH is at 1,700 for 5,000 per, and that's sometime in September is when the merge is going to be planned. Everyone's holding their breath,
Yeah.
whether or not that actually happens, but still a 3x to go. Like that bode really well for ETH. It bode really well, I think, for all these ETH-based tokens. Arthur's come a long way. In the last year, it wasn't last year, I guess 2 years ago, he called ETH a double-digit shitcoin, and that's when it did get as low as like $90. And now he's the ETH's biggest bull. Kind of love to see it.
I love to see it too. And I mean, I personally am of the mindset like if you had to buy one or the other, right, and build your portfolio around it, I just think because of what Ethereum does, not just in terms of the coin itself generally outperforming Bitcoin in the bull runs, but the fact that there is, like you said, these entire ecosystems of coins that are based on Ethereum and that oftentimes will outperform everything when Ethereum is doing well. Everything Ethereum related is doing extremely well. I think it's a good bet to make. I'm of the mindset the bottom's not in until the Fed changes their tune and the stock market bottoms. So if Arthur has some information I don't have about, the Fed turning the money printer back on, going risk on because what they're doing right now effectively isn't working, that's all it really takes, right? I mean, Bitcoin and crypto, it's a risk asset. So if risk assets turn around, could be exciting, could be a short bear market.
What else happened? There was some Bitcoin news last week. Michael Saylor he's stepping down as CEO, becoming chairman, so he's kind of stepping up. When I first saw this news, my initial thought was, are they going to have to sell their Bitcoin? I imagine everyone in the market thought that. So frantically, I Google, are they going to sell their Bitcoin? Does he now make the decision? Or does someone else make the decision? And it looks like he's still the majority controller. He was the one that decided to put a new CEO in. This was the plan for 4 years. So really nothing changes. And he actually still wants to acquire more Bitcoin. What do you think about Michael Saylor not being CEO anymore?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a nothing burger news. I mean, I think generally we're in the market kind of environment, and the sentiment is that anything that could be even portrayed as possibly negative, people are going to jump on. People are going to write threads and be like, "This is why Michael Saylor stepping down as CEO is bad for Bitcoin," a thread. And then it's just a bunch of bullshit that no one cares about. He's going to remain the executive chairman. He is going to remain the chair of the company's investment board, meaning the person in charge of making all of their investment decisions. And he said he purely is giving up the CEO job. Like you mentioned, this was a transition plan, years in the making. And anyone who knows anything about how large corporations work, these are decisions and things that take oftentimes months to years to go down. You don't just step down as CEO and replace. That's something that was likely lined up well before they even went on this kind of acquisition spree. And he said the sole purpose of him stepping down is so he can focus on acquiring more Bitcoin and being an advocate for Bitcoin. So if anything, Bitcoin's biggest bull is freeing up time to continue to be Bitcoin's biggest bull. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
An absolute legend, dude. He in the Bloomberg interview, he repeated the number over and over. He's like 122,000 Bitcoins. That's the only number that I care about. It was just such a Chad moment. That guy's he will go down with this ship, dude. Balls of steel on Michael Saylor.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the MicroStrategy stock chart, it's kind of hilarious to see two effective bubbles pop: the internet bubble and then the kind of Bitcoin bubble in terms of their stock price. But over the last 24 months, their stock price has gone up 100%. They're an enterprise software company. They're outperforming other companies in their kind of quadrant, their competition, I guess you could say. At the end of the day, if the goal of a company is to provide shareholder value, the stock price has gone up. Maybe the chart's not so pretty. Maybe you think the guy's crazy. But he's made money for his investors, and he's made money for us at the end of the day as well, because even now, Bitcoin is still trading, 5x higher than it was in 2018 before we even heard of the guy.
Hard not to respect it. What else? Yeah. What else do we have? Another piece of bullish news. Well, somewhat bullish. I guess you could spin it and say it's ultra bullish. It looked like Blackrock, largest asset manager in the world, I think they manage about $10 trillion, is partnering with Coinbase, offering their clients access to Bitcoin and to crypto. Do you think we see any impact immediately? Because when I see this news, I just think back of when Fidelity got on board, when JP got on board. I think it's all great long-term, but what we've seen in the past year or two is these institutions and these TradFi, this money, is so skittish. Whenever macro is bad, whenever risk assets are bad, whenever stocks are down, they don't want to touch this stuff. Now, when it all comes back, I think that this kind of catalyst does have a serious impact, that we could see sustained inflows. But for right now, it's like I don't know. It's like when someone buys you a present, you can't open it till Christmas. We know it's there, but I don't think we really see the impact right now.
Yeah, I mean, these large institutions move like molasses. If you've ever dealt with the bank, if you've ever dealt with any of these types of institutions, things move very slowly because there are massive amounts of regulations in place. They have entire risk departments and votes and things that need to happen at the board level before any sort of investment can be made in anything, especially in something as, volatile and, risky or perceived risky as crypto. I think, like you said, long term, absolutely. How is this not bullish? This is one of the reasons why I keep a lot of my stable coins in USDC because they are indirectly backed by Blackrock. Blackrock, I think, has $10 trillion assets under management. They have more assets under management than like the entire country of the United States. They are an extremely well run business. They own and have their hands in almost everything.
Yep.
So I don't see how it's a bad thing long term to have a company like this backing, kind of the face of crypto from a public sector sphere, Coinbase being the first crypto company to go public like that. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Do I think we see an immediate reaction in price? Probably not. I don't think this is some new influx of buyers that are going to be coming in buying billions. But I do think long term, from an infrastructure perspective, just making it, like we hope, more public appeal into the validity of crypto and as an asset class. I think it's a good thing. But
Yep.
like, is price going to 2x tomorrow because of it? I don't think so.
One thing that did 2x though is Coinbase's shares. They doubled
Yes.
since Cathie Wood sold it. So the timeline on how this went: Cathie Wood, manager of ARK Invest, pretty serious
Legend.
hedge fund. Yeah, legendary investor, legend for different reasons on Twitter. She sold Coinbase at the bottom. She's been a big believer in crypto. She's got a lot of things right over the past 5 years, but she's obviously a big believer in crypto. Sold Coinbase in the past month or so, and then this BlackRock news comes out, and Coinbase has doubled. I mean, I guess legendary investors sell bottoms too. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, all I can say is ouch. I mean, if you're in crypto, you've done that, right? You've sold the bag at the bottom and then see it go up after. So, like I said before with Elon, in the last episode, one of us, Cathie, you're one of us. You fumbled the bag. You held that thing all the way down from massive highs. And what I can only assume for you, based on when you got in, were massive multiples. And it's like it's you could liken it to anything, right? Like like Sam backing a coin right after you sell, right? Or getting listed on Binance immediately after you sell. Same thing. You're one of us now. I mean, Warren Buffett did this with COVID, right? I think he sold the airline, all of his airline stocks right at the bottom, and then everything basically that was the bottom. So even the best investors, guys, make mistakes. So there's still hope for you.
Solana hack. This is the one piece of bad news last week. I don't know if I read the headline right, but it said millions of people lost money on Solana. I don't know if they meant millions of dollars were lost on Solana. It looked like it was a wallet on Solana. But did you get hacked?
I think the value of everyone's Solana tokens on those wallets, maybe 5 million people, equated to about $5 million.
There you go.
I checked my Phantom wallet and I think I had like $32 on there. And I don't even want to tell you how much that number was when I begun. Yeah, I mean, bad news. It does seem like it wasn't a wallet specific hack because it was Phantom Wallet. I think there was a couple other wallets that also seemed to have, some potential risk to them. I'm not super tech savvy with this kind of stuff. So my advice to anyone who is affected, generally when you see this type of thing happen, if your money is online in some sort of hot wallet and it's not backed up by your ledger or on some sort of offline way, transfer it to a tier one exchange. I think that would be probably the safest thing you can do. Obviously, revoke all permissions, anything that you've interacted with, web apps, things like that. You definitely want to revoke those permissions. But tier one exchanges in this instance can be kind of a safe haven, right? If you transferred that money over to FTX or wherever, you probably would have been pretty safe. But yeah, I didn't have anything worth stealing anyways.
Yeah, imagine making it all the way through the bull market, the bear market. You still have, your portfolio on this cold storage wallet. You're doing everything right. You have some NFTs, and then you get hacked. Like getting hacked in a bear market is so much more painful. I mean, even if you have a small amount, you have $10,000, you can run it back up. Everyone in crypto has done that from a small amount of money, turn it into a big amount. To get hacked because you minted some, crypto raccoon dick butt, I Couldn't imagine, dude. My heart goes out to all the Solana holders with $10 in their wallets.
That's a tough one, but again, OPSEC, security, all that stuff, supremely important. And again, it's like you can't really trust some of these wallets and apps and things that slip by. I mean, we're seeing hacks and exploits on very high level, kind of things within crypto. So if you're dealing with something that seems like it might be even remotely shady, absolutely, protect yourself. Like if you're buying some random bullshit, like at least personally during the bull run, I had multiple wallets where I was like, okay, this seems like a little sketchy, so I'm going to transfer funds to this wallet to interact with this contract. Therefore, like, my risk vector is very small. But yeah, lessons learned, I guess. Sorry to the Solana Moon boys.
There's one more piece of news I want to cover. This one actually just happened today, where the Senate has passed a $430 billion anti-inflation bill. We're spending more money to fight inflation. I don't quite understand that. But tying this back to what you said about the Arthur article, I do think there's an interesting shift lately in the market where, let's say inflation numbers do stop hitting new all-time highs. Now we have this anti-inflation bill being passed. There was some dovish comments said in the last Fed meeting. Maybe people start to think that the worst is behind us. Like I was trying to get a gauge on this, asking friends, other traders, my brother, even if things are bad, we're still in a recession. It's going to be tough the next 6 or 12 months. But if the worst is behind us and the market starts to price that in, I don't know. It wouldn't be the worst case. But I guess we still have to see inflation numbers. Who knows if this bill passes? Do you have any thoughts on inflation here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the thing that you're going to want to look out for as a trader is you want to see the market start to react bullishly on good news. That's generally a pretty good indicator that price is starting to shift and momentum is shifting, and we may be in for a potential bottom and rise in prices from like a macro perspective. What you're going to see when the market is bearish, during the bear market, it didn't matter if good news came out. The market didn't react. And when bad news came out, it reacted, extremely negatively. And the inverse is obviously true during the bull market. When the market was bullish and then Tesla announces that they're buying Bitcoin, it doubles in a few weeks. So these are going to be the types of things you want to look for. I think you want to pay attention to that news and say, okay, if this passes and numbers start to look good, do we see that reflected in the market itself? I'm a believer that news generally brings in volatility, but the direction is already going to be kind of apparent on a high time frame. You're going to say, okay, well, this was good news and this was a catalyst, I guess, for the price to go up, but it was already kind of starting to look bullish. So
Right.
I would love to see inflation go down. Again, I'm with you. I don't know how passing a bill for $4 billion
430
helps.
million.
Sorry, 430 million helps inflation go down. I mean, they did just send another billion to Ukraine.
Oh God.
So I don't really know. As a Canadian, I'm not 100% as fluent in what's going on in the U.S. government, but it's kind of crazy to me what's going on here, at least. And we kind of mirror what you guys do down there. Um, yeah, I mean, let's hope. You do have to, be aware we have been in a bearish trend for, almost a year, right? So, how long does a recession last? It can last a few years, but it doesn't mean that price goes straight down. Generally, you have that large correction and then you have a period of kind of sideways, and that's where we're in now. I would love nothing more than for this to be the bottoming range. Like if 17 to 24K is the bottoming range for Bitcoin, I think that bodes pretty well for what's possible when the markets do turn around, right? Because we generally see, 10, 20x across some of the majors. That would be pretty sweet. On one piece of meme news that I think we should touch on is the
Yeah, let's hit
Craig
it.
Wright versus Peter piece. So that damages suit got settled. Craig Wright, who may or may not be Satoshi Nakamoto, I'm saying may or may not because I also don't want to get sued and lose the massive sum that Peter lost, which is $1. So, GG to Craig for the W there. And shout out to Kobe for setting up a GoFundMe because I do think we all need to support Peter. He's done a lot for the community, and I think he might need help raising those funds, to pay those damages in that settlement. So, unfortunate, Peter, but you'll bounce back from this, man.
Shout out Peter. Peter, I will send you some sats to help you get to that $1. But congrats on the win. I don't have anything to say to Craig Wright. I don't want to be sued. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. Craig, I have no feelings about you one way or another.
I don't even know who you are.
Keep on keeping on, man.
Mayne, what are we looking out for this week? Since we're recording this on Sunday, I imagine some of you guys watching and listening are hearing this on Monday. You said you're watching BNB. Is there any other setup, Bitcoin, ETH related, that you're looking forward to trade?
So we'll throw up a chart here, but if you're looking at like the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think we're consolidating pretty tightly here. I do think we're due for a move this week. Personally, I'm thinking we have a sharp move to the upside, followed by a rather large retracement. And then that retracement is where I'm looking to get long for potentially a larger leg up. So specifically on Bitcoin, I'm looking for a move between 23,500 to 24K, somewhere in there for an early week move up that I'd actually be looking to short into. I think we have a good opportunity here to kind of trap some people longing near the top of the range, and then give us one more, shakeout to the downside before potentially finally starting to trend. So that's what I'm looking for on both Ethereum and on Bitcoin. I'm looking for an early this week. So maybe it's tonight, maybe it's tomorrow, move to the upside, followed by a dump. And I will be looking to short that move in terms of kind of like an interday trade or an intraday trade. But then I'm looking to build a swing long on the next correction.
I like it. I think in that move up, if we do get that move to 23.5 or to 24 early this week, which I also see happening, I do think we go up from here. I've loved Optimism and Lido in the past week. I'm like an ETH maxi at this point with how much I've traded. I should probably ask an ETH maxi what those coins even do. I'm scared to look, but I'm also a little bit worried on how fast they've gone up. So one of the coins I like right now outside of that is actually Solana. On the back of this hack news, we've seen NEAR and AVAX actually go up. I know it's not layer one season yet. I know that ETH is going to be the focus, but like all those layer ones sold off a ton. And when NEAR and AVAX are able to pump, Solana didn't because it got hacked last week. I think that Solana joins that eventually. We have a very short memory span here in crypto. I think people are going to forget about the hack. Maybe Sam starts buying. I don't know, but it's the one layer one that has not pumped yet. That thing could go 10 or 20%, and it would be equal to whatever everything else has moved. So I don't think that's a crazy expectation to have. I like the Solana setup. I do think that's worth looking at. Yes, I'm shilling my bags. No, don't go out and buy it because I'm shilling it, but that's what I'm looking
Buy
for.
Them. No, I mean, listen, if you're looking like as a trader, if you're trying to trade altcoins, especially, and you're saying, okay, NEAR, AVAX are pumping, you want to look for the laggards, right?
Yep.
And considering the fact that there was a hack on Solana and it didn't implode, I actually think is a bullish sign. Funnily enough, because someone, I think I was doing a stream on Monday, and someone was like, "Well, the Solana hack happened. Look at the chart." And I looked at the chart. I was like, I never would have guessed that this had an exploit based on how the chart looked. It didn't look that bad. So I do think that, if you're looking to play a laggard, a good thing to do is look at Solana versus BTC versus ETH, maybe versus some of those other altcoins like NEAR that you mentioned, and see if there might be a setup forming there. Because if there is, and that's looking like one of those kind of cross pairs is flipping bullish, that's when you're going to get that catch up move on the USD pair. Which, like you said, 10 to 20% can print very quickly. Sprinkle in a little bit of leverage, you got yourself a nice trade.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Careful on the leverage for everyone listening. But yeah, that's what we're trading this week. That's the news from last week. Mayne, I guess I'll see you in Vegas on Friday. We might be doing this. Live, depending on when you get in.
Yeah, might be doing this live, which I think would be fun.
Also, I want to give a quick reminder to everyone watching, listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. I asked last week, we asked for some name submissions. This name is still the weekly wrap. It's not going to be the weekly wrap for forever. And we asked for you guys to submit us names, which was great because we got so many damn submissions. The problem is there was just way too many submissions. So we need another week to review, and we also just didn't see anything we liked. We went through them. We didn't see anything. So if you're watching and you have an idea, if we don't want to call this the weekly wrap, drop a comment on YouTube. Let us know what you want the name to be. When we pick it, I'll send you a couple $100 in Bitcoin. I think Mayne will do the same. We need a good name for the show. Someone give us a good name.
Please make serious suggestions. As much as I appreciate all of the different ways you guys can make puns about my neck, we're not going to pick one that has anything to do with my neck or Luke's neck. So they're funny. I will give you a like, but if you want some actual money and potentially, actually help us name this thing, send us some serious suggestions. We'd love to see them.
Yes, we would. All right, that's all we got. I'll see you in Vegas on Friday, man. Peace, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.